Are there other ways to sell books besides Amazon? Hello, everyone. This is Jamie Buckley, your host for Life of Fiction, the podcast, and this is Season 2, Episode 28. And I'm really excited this morning because I got a great question from from my doppelganger, from Jamie, age 19, from South Carolina. And she writes, Mr. Buckley, I've been writing for a few years, mostly short story adventures for middle grade girls. But I want to stay as an indie author. Maybe I'm good enough for trade publishing, maybe I'm not. It doesn't really matter. For me, this isn't about money, it's about the freedom to publish when I want, as fast as I want. What frustrates me is that the only way to publish that I know of is Amazon. Amazon KDP isn't horrible, but I'm wondering if there are other options that a new author can use to publish and sell their works. Any help would be wonderful. Thank you. Signed, Jamie. Well, first of all, great name. I love this question, and not only is the answer yes, I can help. I really can help. The question is so good, I'm going to take the next two episodes to explain this, and I'm going to explain this from using the assumption that you already have your digital and your PDF files ready to publish. So I'm going to assume that you already have your stories, and this is literally just as simple as, are there places that you can sell your books and get it out there to the public or to kids or to adults, to readers? And I want to focus on this in a very specific way, mainly because what I want to do is I want to encourage, if you happen to be, as a listener, you happen to be a writer, I would like to help shift your perception, your perspective here about what's happening all around us. You know, there's never been a better time to be a writer, to be a creative than now. There are more tools, there are more opportunities. There's also more frustrations, in my opinion, and there's also some pretty unique challenges because we have gatekeepers still, traditional publishing and large corporations and platforms that are trying to control the way that we do things to make sure that they get their finger in every pie, that they make profits from each and every one of us. And that might annoy you. But in actuality, we're not paying for a lot of these platforms. We're not, and we benefit from them. So keep that in mind, that we need to have a bit of a mind shift, and for some of us, quite a mind shift. So I would like to propose that you look at this from the perspective of planting seeds. So don't worry about the end result. I would like to help you plant seeds, which are places throughout the internet, on platforms, with software, where other people exist, so that you have, how can I put it? There's no guarantee of your success, Jamie. There just isn't. I know that a lot of sales companies and people who have services, they want to guarantee and alleviate your fears that you're going to do great if you just come with them and spend a bunch of money or use their product or service. And it's just not true. There isn't a guaranteed success. What you can do, though, is you can slowly eliminate the possibility of your failure and make it more likely for you to succeed, to be found. And this is why I'm saying shift your mentality to planting seeds. If you do that, then you are more likely to see the opportunities in front of you, and also to be more creative in solving these challenges. I'm not going to say problems, I'm going to say challenges, because I don't think that this is a problem. If we if we suck as writers and we don't really have a good story, well, that's a problem. We need to learn, we need to develop our skills, we need to do better. But if you've got a good story, you have something, and that's all a relative thing. I don't want to have an argument with anyone over what's a good story and what's not, because it really is. It's a lot like artwork. It's in the eye of the beholder. Something that doesn't resonate with me might resonate with thousands or hundreds of thousands of other people. And that's the way that it goes when it comes to writing, to stories, how you convey it. You may suck at writing, but you might be really good at taking your notes and doing an audio and telling your stories. I know people like that. So I want to look at this episode as shifting your perspective. We're going to do a big mind shift, and I want you to focus on planting seeds, and I'll explain as we go, okay? So every location that you set up to sell your books should also be a seed that readers can discover, because you never know. You never know when you might bump into that one superfan or that one person who just goes crazy and wants to talk about your story. Many authors don't want to make the move from Amazon because they get they think that they'd get a trickle of traffic and sales in comparison to KDP. And that might be true. My question is that a bad thing? And the reason why is because if you take these trickles, these little drips, you put them all together, that adds up. And so you never know, like I said before, you'll never know when you'll find that one person or people to cause that shift in that momentum. And I want to tell you a little story about this because it's important. When I started with Wanted Hero back in 2004, I was about ready to launch in 2005 on the internet. And that's back when everything was HTML. We didn't have all the tools that we have here. The Amazon KDP didn't exist. There was no Kindle even. It had not been invented yet. That was done in 2007. So here I was trying to, from library books, make my own website. And the idea was I was going to take Wanted Hero as a comic book. I made it in a traditional way with comic book paper and pen and ink, and I did black and white. And I would scan it in 2 pieces and then piece it together in Photoshop. And then I would collect it all together and put in the dialogue, the word bubbles and the type with Illustrator, and then I would publish it as a PDF. And I never had hard copies unless someone asked me to go and print one up at Kinko's. And then I would mail that to them. But 99% of all the comic books that I sold of Wanted Hero was digital. It was a PDF. And I sold them for 97 cents a piece. And I mean, since that time to now, there's been over 1 million downloads. Now, most of those were not paid for, but there's at least 1 million copies, at least, floating around out there. And sometimes they come back to me, which is pretty neat. My point being is I put them on the website as this simple little download, and that was also when there was PayPal in its infancy. And one person sent me an email one day saying, "Mr. Buckley, I think that your comic book is amazing, and I'd like to talk to you about it," which I, to tell you the truth, I thought was kind of creepy. Here, I'm a young guy, and someone's reaching out and wants to talk to me about my comic book. It just so happens that it was I don't remember how old she was, but she was over 50, a woman who had never read a comic book in her life, but she found me online. In fact, I'm not even sure that she even told me how she found me, but she was looking up something else and came across my website and found the website so curious, she started digging. So she saw that you could buy and download a PDF for $1. And so she read the comic book and immediately became one of my biggest advocates. And for the next few years, she promoted my comics, or at the time I called them e-comics, at every turn. And this wonderful woman's name was Deborah Harper. And we became very good friends. She was by far my biggest promoter, and she never asked anything of me other than we worked together on various projects and helped one another. In fact, she did the voice of the very first commercial that we did back in 2005. Let me play that for you real quick.
Scene 1, Apple, take 2.
Hello, this is Deborah Harper. You may recognize me as the witty and brilliant gnome scientist from the popular e-comic Wanted Hero. Although I play a scientist in an e-comic, in real life I'm also a concerned mother. I want the best for my children, which is why I use Wanted Hero e-comics in our home every day. Independent gnome studies show that purchasing and utilizing this amazing e-comic actually increases the IQ level and retention level of your child. It helps in the development of reading skills, boosts the creative output of the brain, and frankly, it makes your child more popular. I mean, who wants to have a dense, slow, unpopular offspring? That's not a child, that's troll food. Wanted Hero is a monthly e-comic for only 99 cents an issue. Only 99 cents. I know my kids are worth 99 cents a month to keep them smart and popular. Log into www.wantedhero.com. It's not the only choice, but it's the smart one.
So just keep in mind here that you never know where someone's a fan or someone who believes in you is going to come from. That's keeping a very open mind and realize what you're going to do is you're going to plant seeds wherever you possibly can. Okay? Number 2, always publish every version of your book. I know a lot of indie authors, the majority of them, still just think, well, I'm going to, the future is going to digital. Most people do things off their phones, which they're right, but they don't think to do print versions of their books, and that can hurt you. I have some books that people purchase that are mainly digital. I have others that are digital and are available digitally, and yet they sell paperback or hardback. And so don't ever think digital or print. Think digital and print, and by the way, and audio. Okay? Make sure your books are available to anyone and everyone. Print books, this might blow your mind, I'm not sure, but print books still sell more overall than digital. It's true. The stats for 2023 are $64.35 billion in revenue in 2023. That's print. And here's the other thing that you need to understand about ebooks is ebooks have grown globally an average of 3.5% every year since 2017. And they are projected to grow faster than print books. Okay? But print is still by far ahead. But if you compare the books versus ebooks using features, you're going to see why you want to cater to the readers and not to the formats. You need to think about the people that you're trying to get your stories to. So I want to go over a feature, and then I want to show you the ebooks, the printed, and the winning format, okay? Let's just start with the sales trends. So with sales trends with ebooks, you have it's increasing faster, especially with the younger demographics. It goes back to the using your phones, right? And then with printed books are more stable, but they're slower growth compared to the ebooks. So the winning format is definitely going to be ebooks. The next one is cost. Ebooks are generally cheaper, depending upon the platform. And printed books, they can be more expensive, especially hardcovers. So again, winning format is ebooks. Now, environmental impact. Maybe that doesn't matter to you. For me, even in drawing, I've gone digitally. I haven't killed a tree in like 7 years. But here's the thing, the environmental impact, with ebooks, it has a lower physical footprint and also energy in production. Whereas printed books, they have the physical production and they have recycling challenges. And I'm not going to get into that, but every time I see recycling, that's bunk. Go ahead and look it up on YouTube. Recycling's pretty much a myth. So the winning format is ebooks. Now, portability, this is a huge one. Now, of course, with ebooks, you have the high portability because you can store thousands of books in your little tiny device. In your phone, oh my goodness, especially if you got an extra card, a chip in there. So you can have a whole library in your phone or in your Nook or in your Kindle, okay? But with printed books, we have the physical space that's required and the weight varies. So again, winning format is ebooks. Customability. This is a big one because with customability, you've got things like the font size, the background color can be adjusted, the light can be adjusted. So you have variables to help other people who might have eye problems. Like me, I have very weak eyes. And so my e-reader, I like Nooks. And my e-reader is set very specifically, and I can read all the time on my Nook, even without my glasses. That's awesome. You can't do that with a print book because you have the fixed print and there's no customization. Again, winning format, ebooks. Ease of learning. Most people don't think about this, but ease of learning. With ebooks, you can have searchable text. You can even have interactive features in your books that tie into different websites and services on the internet. Whereas traditional reading with print books, you have a traditional reading experience and no digital features. So again, ebooks is the winning format. But here's where it's going to start to shift just a little bit. Accessibility. Ebooks are available instantly online and adjustable text, whereas printed books require physical access and fixed text. So we have ebooks again. Now we have usability. Now ebooks, it requires an electronic device. It also requires, for some, the internet. Have you thought about that? So you might like the thought of interactive features with your book, with your story. I like them, but that also requires access to the internet through that device. That device requires electricity to keep it going, and that electricity is going to be used up. Whereas with printed books, there's no device needed, and it can be read anywhere. Winning format, print. Tactile experience. I actually hear this more often than not of late, and that is, with ebooks, it lacks the physical touch of a book. And people talk, my own children, my daughter Asia, she talks about printed books. It provides that physical touch, that smell of the pages, that, Simon would say the nostalgic, experience. And by far, and I would agree, is that the winning format would be print. And then the last one is ownership and appearance. This is a big one for the older generation, my generation. Digital ownership. The appearance varies upon what device that you're using. Whereas printed books, if I own it, I physically have control of that copy of that book. I have the aesthetics of it on the shelf in my growing library. And that's important to a lot of us. So winning format, printed books. Now, there has been a debate over print versus digital, and actually it's a pretty fascinating one. I found a fantastic link, and I'm going to put it in the notes of this episode, and it is from a website called Scants. I I hope I said that right, an article that will answer most of your questions. But this whole debate over, between digital and print is fascinating. It's something that you might want to look into more and to consider, just to help you, educate you to make the best decisions for your own goals and your own readers. Okay? Step 3 is set up your processors. If you're going to be doing books on various platforms, you're going to need to be able to sell the books. You have to be able to take money from people. Even if you're not the one taking the money, let's say that you're going to use a platform and they're the ones that have the processors. You still need to set up processors for yourself, because even if a platform is taking money from your readers for you, they still have to pay you. There still is a payout. So this can be done in 3 different ways, depending upon the platform that you choose to use. You've got PayPal, you have Stripe, or you have direct deposit. Now, I know I've had friends that are telling me that there are other platforms and processors in different countries. I'm not aware of those and I'm not using those. So I am only showing you the things that I actually use and I know that work and work very well. So I personally suggest that you avoid using direct deposit. In my mind, I'm just trying to avoid greater risks of online security hacks and work through either PayPal or Stripe or both. And I do both. And I want to make a little note here that I've been with PayPal since 2005. And I think I had one problem once, and it was an accounting error that I caught and got a hold of PayPal and showed them the math, and they were like, oh my goodness, well, here you go. And it was fixed immediately. So I don't have any problems with PayPal. The rise of Stripe, however, has encouraged me to switch my loyalty, and I've put a lot of money through PayPal. I really have no complaint against PayPal, not honestly. Okay, I have some irritations, but that happens. But with Stripe is so good, it's rewarded me with better security, lower fees, and overall experience. I enjoy the control and the transparency that I have with Stripe. And you have some other options that are good. And I'm not going to use this episode to compare the two. But some platforms will only work with PayPal. There are some places that they just won't give you Stripe as an option. And so that's the only reason why I keep an account with PayPal anymore. So to get started, I suggest you just go over to paypal.com and stripe.com and set up a business account. Don't do a personal. Try to set up a business account. You'll have more options, all right? Now we have step number 4, and that is to set up a central or core shop. Now this, what I mean by a central or core shop is this is going to be the main location where you're going to spend most of your time promoting and selling to the people that you meet to buy your books, or that you're going to connect to and use as the most common and popular hub of your little business, your little setup. So I want to tell you to do them all, okay? And we are going to set up as many platforms and areas that you can find. But here's the thing you need to keep in mind. You cannot equally promote a dozen shops. You just can't. Especially if you're like me and you're one person, you just don't have the time. So choose one and then let the others capture whoever they do. You're going to have readers that are going to find you, a friend's going to recommend something, and you're going to just get these, for lack of a better term, I'm not trying to be rude, but stragglers. People who, just as an afterthought, go and check out your book on some obscure platform, but you get a couple sales there. They all add up. So the one that I use and that I recommend is, people call them Ko-Fi or Coffee. It's ko-fi.com. And I will put a link there. And I'm going to link mine so you can see it. You can see an example how I set it up and the things that I do there. I've actually got a pretty big shop, and I've made a lot of money through that Ko-Fi shop. And I choose Ko-Fi because I can sell things, promote things, and people can tip you. And that has been huge. Buying coffees for, I have it set at $5. You can set your own price there if they feel like supporting me. So sometimes they don't want to buy a book, but they like what I'm doing. I have parents that will just buy me a coffee once in a while, which I'm so grateful for. Does it work? Well, just the cups of coffee, 734 cups of coffee so far say, yeah, that works pretty good. But that also doesn't count the shop where I sell my digital books. I link to the print books. I sell artwork. I even sell memberships and services. From time to time, when I have extra time, I will set up and say, hey, I'm willing to draw so many characters. Maybe it's your RPG character, or maybe it's a character for your book or whatever. And I'll put little services up and say, hey, I have 3 slots available this month, and people can hire me. But with Ko-Fi, you can sell all your digital books, and you can link to the print and the audio versions in the descriptions. So you actually have a hub there that can pretty much do everything you need it to do. Plus, you have the ability on there to sell physical things as well. I do. I sell signed hardback copies of Hopen's books. So it has many options, and also they can link to Stripe, which is great. Most people actually know at this point what Ko-Fi is when people talk about it, or coffee. And so that also has, it generates more confidence, and that's a good thing. So there is your basic setup for, how we're going to take our next bigger step. And then next week or next time, I'll explain exactly how I've set up my own business and why, so that you can have a roadmap to follow. And you can set up your own business however you want. I'll just show you what I do and why I do it. And you can run. I hope that was helpful for you. And Jamie, thank you for the fantastic question. I love this question. I love talking shop. And so I hope this will help many of you out there. And remember, you are more than you think you are. I am going to drill that into you until you just breathe it and know it to be true. You are more than you think you are. And we will see you next time. Bye.